mind flayer, but also a wizard. And also a zombie. And also almost a lich. How fucking cool is that? There's so much of this creature in terms of lore, so you might be here for a little while in comparison to the other myriad of monster videos. There's quite a lot of stuff to manage for doing this as well, because it's a big spellcaster. Mind flayers are one of the most interesting and confusing creatures that I've ever met. We can't understand their alien minds, they do, but they'll never tell anyone their secrets, and even if they did, we wouldn't comprehend them. Their perspective on time and life is endless, and they don't comprehend emotions fully. They are Sherlock Holmes, but even smarter. The slow, tactical work together and eventually aim to take over the fucking world and make them all their slaves. But for now, they're smart enough to know that they shouldn't just do a full-on conquest, so they chill in little lairs and have elder brains that feed them and... well, they don't feed them. The elder brains that lead them. There you go. In essence, elder brain is a big old brain floating around in a large pool of brine, and it's got like tentacles and shit. Also, this is a mind flayer. Not that one from Stranger Things, this one. But today, we're talking about Alhoons. This one. Cut to the mini. I actually have a mini for these ones. I would have done mind flayers first, but I don't have one. I did have one for a mind flayer at some point, but the arms both fell off because they were super skinny. It was doing like this pose, and then the moment I took it out of the bubble wrap, they just... and it was an invisible one as well. It was one of the transparent ones, so it probably wouldn't have worked anyway. Now, an Alhoon is a mind flayer arcanist that decides to go a step beyond. Mind flayer arcanists are basically mind flayers, except they also cast a bunch of spells because they got a spellbook. However, Alhoons are the stage after that. A mind flayer arcanist is an exile, meaning that they pick up a book and they're like, ooh, it's a spellbook, let's keep this, and then like the elder brains like no, and the mind flayers are like no, and then they just have to leave. They hide it for a bit and then they go. So from the transition between a mind flayer arcanist and an Alhoon, basically you gotta get yourself a mind flayer arcanist and 2 other mind flayer arcanists, or more depending on how many people want to engage in the ritual and become Alhoons. They come together, they make a big old thing called a periapt of mind trapping. So basically they get to make their own little fist-sized elder brain. Takes 3 days of spell shit, and it requires each mind flayer to bring their own dead corpse to the party. From there, they put their soul in the thing, and then they become an Alhoon, which is a zombie mind flayer spellcaster. That's a lot of components to a creature. One interesting thing to note is that when you grab a body of like a 50-year-old human, you're only going to be living for 50 years as an Alhoon. However, the guy who brought his 700-year-old furbolg is going to frickin' be living forever. However, you can bring new souls over and reset your clock in a way. So you bring a 60-year-old human in after 30 years of having been living on a 50-year-old human, and now you've got 60 more years. It doesn't add to it, it just puts the timer at 60, basically. It's kind of weird to look like a zombie mind flayer, but one key component is that your skin goes real dry and flaky because mind flayers have a coating of mucus around their body to shield them from the sun, I believe, or something like that. But yeah, that's what they look like. Now, an Alhoon is a mind flayer arcanist, and the way that it is that they find a spell book, and that's the spells that they know. They can't necessarily learn new ones unless they achieve full-on lichdom and not just being an Alhoon. You can really customize that however you like. Maybe the Alhoon found a spell book of like a 5th level wizard, or a 19th level wizard, or a 2nd level wizard. I almost said a 2th level wizard. That's funny. If you're an Alhoon and you fucking die, you don't die. This is like a semi-lich. Instead of dying, you don't like return back in a D10 days. You are sent into that periapt of mind trapping that I told you about earlier, and you can chill with all the souls of all the people that you and your mind flayer buddies are killed in there, and now you are a hive-minded individual. Several other Alhoons can come and chill in there with you, and then you're basically chilling with a bunch of like-minded folks. Alright, stats time. I didn't talk about these in the Bullywugs video because Bullywugs kind of just have a real normal-ass stat block. There's a lot too in Alhoon, which I'll now tell you about. They are from Volo's Guide to Monsters, so if you want to look at their stat block in there, it's on page 172. They're CR10, so keep that in mind when throwing it at a low-level party, because this thing will fuck them in the bumhole. Their armor class is 15, which I despise. They have an average of 120 hit points, a decent constitution, but only 16 d8 worth of hit die, which is underwhelming. I'd recommend maybe just pretending like you rolled max hit die for this creature, purely because I think it's a bit more fun. Makes them a little more easy to not die in a turn because they didn't get a spell off because someone casted fricking silence on them. They have a speed of good old 30 feet because they're basically a humanoid in terms of structure. So yeah, their saving throws are fucking nuts, being proficient in Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma saves. So, paired with Magic Resistance, which gives them an advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects, they're fucking fine on that front. They have proficiency in, give me a second, Arcana, Deception, History, Insight, Perception, and Stealth. It's a lot of skills. If I told you about fricking Esmeralda's stat block, oh my god. But yeah, that's a lot of proficiencies. They've lived for hundreds of years, they probably have those. In terms of their resistances and immunities, they are resistant to cold damage, lightning damage, and necrotic damage, because they're zombo, but also kind of a lich. They're immune to poison and the good old non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, which is kind of rainbow redundant. Conditional immunities are pretty, you know, undead style. So no charmed, exhaustion, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, no stunned. They can still be stunned. Remember that, monk. They have True Sight to 120 feet. I haven't told you about True Sight yet. It is basically, you see literally everything and nothing can get past you. If there's an illusion, you see through it. If there's an invisible person, you can see them. You can see through darkness and magical darkness. And you can see into the fucking ethereal plane. You can, if there's a shape changer, you can see their true form. It's neat. They speak, finally, deep speech, undercommon, and can have telepathy up to 120 feet. Okay. On to the monster features, not its actions, its features, but these are basically mostly actions. I told you about magic resistance, and every single mind flayer has innate spellcasting in psionics. Psionics is spellcasting, except you don't need any fucking components because you just do it out of your big brain. At will, a mind flayer can cast detect thoughts and levitate to detect your thoughts and float around, and once a day for each of them, you can cast Dominate Monster, which is an 8th level spell, so you can control anything for, I believe, yep, an hour. And Plane Shift, but only on yourself. So basically you can yeet onto another plane once a day if you're an Alhoon. It's fun. And you don't need any sort of hand movements or sham lam 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 or I will take out this dead person and it's my spell component, so now I can cast it. You just literally have to do, and then you cast the spell. However, this is one of the few stat blocks where they have two types of spellcasting. They also have normal spellcasting with wizard shit. This is where you can mix and match. In this, it's a 12th level for CR 10. CR can be bumped up a little bit and you can bump up the spells that you get because it goes up to 6th level. But you can get more. Do whatever you want. And finally, turn resistance, which basically gives a massive middle finger to clerics, where they have advantage on saving throws against effects that turn undead. Neat. They can't, turn undead is basically, you shall run away from me, undead, and the undead's like, and then they run away for a minute. And it's not concentration or anything, they literally just run for a minute, straight up. For actions, they're kind of starved. There's one called Chilling Grasp, which is a +8 to hit. And you got 3d6 cold damage, even though the cantrips that you cast are going to more likely be better than that. Equip yourself with Firebolt, and for the level of spellcaster that an Alhoon is normally, you've got 3d10 fire damage on a ranged spell attack. It's not good. However, no components. So that's something. It's just a touch. But other than that, fucking useless. However, Mind Blast is pretty good. It is a 60-foot cone, so it goes brrr, and each creature in that cone must succeed on DC 16, all the DCs for these things are 16, intelligence saving throw, or they're going to be taking 48 plus for psychic damage and they're stunned for a minute. They can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns, ending the effect on a success. If you succeed the saving throw initially, you have no effects put on you and you don't take any damage, which is neat. So, that's an Alhoon. Thanks for watching, folks. Also, Jake, tell them to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell. What? Who put this on my script?
Did I put that?
No, that was a bit.
I don't know what that means.
Oh yeah, you're not an actor. It was me acting. In case you haven't realised, we only do these videos if we have the mini for them. Production value.